Hello friends, scrubs, and fellow countrymen. Today, of all days, I'm going to teach you a very profound lesson about fighting games. This is only profound if you're a scrub, though. If you've played fighting games a lot, you probably already know this, but this will be very useful for those starting out, I do believe. It has been useful to me, because even after playing fighting games for a few years, I still have a lot of trouble playing properly and playing successfully. So, this video is about attacking decisively. Attacking decisively as compared to button mashing and spamming. When you start out fighting games, button mashing and spamming are probably your best friends. Some people say fighting games are just spam fest, all you do is mash. Because they don't really have the full understanding of how the game works, and that's what works for them. So, the problem with button mashing, there's a multitude of problems, but one situation that I have created, and I have done often, when playing fighting games, is to attack constantly. When you attack constantly, you're pretty much always mashing buttons. Say they knock you down, then you're going to constantly mash buttons. You're going to always attack. When I say constantly, I literally do mean constantly. And there's never going to be a moment when you're not attacking. And the problem with that is, first of all, if you're doing stuff randomly, it's kind of a gamble whether your move will hit or not. But second of all, if you're always attacking, you're always vulnerable. You're going to be rushing yourself into lots of stupid and bad situations because you're constantly attacking rather than blocking. And I'm not saying that you should always block. This video is not about constantly blocking and being a turtle, because that's not effective either. The main point is that don't use moves in the wrong situation. If it's not the right situation to do a certain move, don't attack, or use a different move. And this can be very hard for some people to learn, especially if you pick certain kind of easy win autopilot characters, like Ryo, for example. Ryo, his fireball is just a very wide brush type move. It has decent range, it's very safe, it hits a lot of areas, it's hard to jump over. It's very effective. You can use it in a lot of situations. And it's not a bad move. It's not a move that you shouldn't use. But if you use it too much, you'll get used to just using this move and not having to really carefully read the situation, because it works a lot of the time. And even if you throw it at range, you're not going to lose that much. But let's say you're playing the King of Fighters 2002 Ultimate Match. That's what this one is. We're just playing any KOF. Let's say you pick a character like Angel. Angel is probably a lot of people's favorite waifu in KOF. And she's good looking. She's very interesting. She has an interesting moveset. But there's a lot of people that probably tried her out and then stopped playing her and went back to Ryo because she has a very unorthodox moveset. She doesn't have any fireballs. She's a character that doesn't have an easy use move like a wide brush. Whoops. A wide brush like Ryo's fireball. Instead, all of her moves, they're very precise. I don't know why they just went into slow motion, but they're very precise. They have very specific usage. So to play well as Angel, you really have to use all these moves in the right situation. So when I was playing as Angel before, I would just throw out these moves constantly and try to just hoping I be able to start off one of her chains, which would never happen. I'd always get destroyed. And you shouldn't conclude that Angel's a bad character simply because she doesn't have a fireball. She doesn't have a wide brush type move, because Angel has lots of launching types moves. She has lots of combos. She has infinite combos also, if you're really good at her, which I am not. But that's not even necessarily the point. You don't need to know infinite combos to be good at Angel. The point is that you need to be more careful when you use moves. And if it's not the right situation to attack, don't use it. Because her moves, they're like scalpels. They're very precise. They're powerful if used in the right situation. And with that, I'm going to move over to a different fighting game. This might be a situation you're more familiar with. Street Fighter 4, rather Ultra Street Fighter 4, Zangief versus Sagat. And a lot of people, you probably know kind of what I'm going to be saying. So a lot of people, you might have the conception that Street Fighter 4 is rock, paper, scissors. Zangief is rock, and Sagat is paper. So, Sagat, his fireball, like Ryo's, or any fireball, it's a very wide brush. You can, if you use it at range, you can like use it in a lot of situations. You can use it up close. I think you can combo into it. Yeah, you can combo into it. So you can use it a lot, and it can give you kind of a degenerate scrub playstyle. Like, even pros will still use the fireball a lot, but they'll generally think more about using it. But you can get pretty far by just using fireball. So he's kind of an easy mode character for a beginner. But, and you might conclude that all there is to fighting games is just spamming that move. But let's say you play as Zangief, and you're put in the situation where the opponent's doing fireballs a lot. You just think, Zangief's a bad character. I can't win with him. This is terrible. I should just pick someone else. But that's not true, because there's pros, say for example like Snake Eyes, who has had a lot of success with Zangief. But if you're playing as Zangief, you have to understand, when I'm at range, I can't do a lot of these attacks. Like, I can't necessarily always jump in. Like, if I was playing against intelligent opponents, I wouldn't be able to jump in all the time and, like, force the offensive. Rather, instead, I would need to, at the moment, those moments instead, if I was playing someone else, I'd be throwing fireballs. I'll be waiting. I'll be watching. I'll be looking for openings to move in, to, like, say, invincible through a fireball, etc. And this isn't even just this matchup, but Zangief, he's a much more precise range of where he can effectively operate. He's a close-range character, obviously. He's a grappler. So for Zangief, attacking decisively generally means, attacking mostly when you're at close range, or using his anti-fireball or anti-ranged options at the right moment. But if you're not in that situation, you might need a block. You might just need to walk forward. Like Zangief, if you're in this matchup, button mashing is going to get you killed. But if you play precisely, you might have a lot of success with Zangief if you read the situation. By reading the situation, I mean, maybe you sit down for a moment, you take a little bit of chip damage, but you watch what your opponent does, and you look and you see, is he going to be vulnerable? What's my range? Like, I'm not judging the range properly right here, necessarily, but you judge the situation, you think, what is he doing now? How far away am I? What moves will hit, what moves won't? And what do I think he's about to do? And stuff like that. And you can't necessarily, like, think for a really long time, all the time in a fighting game, but it's better to just think a little bit and kind of get that mindset of actually watching what's happening before acting. So, and this doesn't just apply to grapplers or rushdown characters, and it doesn't just apply to Street Fighter and KOF. So, I'm going to switch over to Guilty Gear Revelator. Let me make sure it's displaying.
Guilty Gear.
So, I recently started, I tried a little bit of Dizzy recently. I'm not necessarily very good at her, but she is a projectile character. She's not a rushdown character, she's not a grappler. But just like Angel and Zangief, a lot of her moves, they're very precise brushes. She's not like Kai. Like, her fireballs aren't necessarily all really fast. They all hit at very different ranges. So, for her to play well, you have to really think about the situations. You have to think about, like, certain moves are going to be really good if they're knocked down, etc. Or, like for setups, etc. But if you don't know what moves to use, like, for example, I might just throw a lot of these moves out and get killed, or they might not even hit. They might just dodge them because I'm not throwing them out properly. If I'm not thinking about what I'm doing, I'm probably going to get killed, especially with someone like Dizzy, who is a more unorthodox and technical character. And, that's really the key, is reading the situation, like, sitting down, looking, what am I supposed to do, and, like, learning your moveset. Like, I still don't know her moveset super well. Inevitably, I'm not going to have a huge amount of success with her in the beginning, especially if I'm starting out. But if I want to have success, I need to think about situations and play well and not do moves that will just get me, like, basically hang myself. Like, that's the other point is like, if you button mash, oftentimes you're just going to hang yourself. Because you don't want to let your opponent walk all over you and destroy you, but you don't want to be giving them humongous opportunities to hit you by just mashing buttons. Yeah. So, but this is true for every character though. This is even true. This is true for Kai. Like this is true for Fireball characters. This is true for characters like Ryo who have very wide brushes. Because like with Kai, his Fireball maybe you can spam it. Like I don't know if you can spam it as much as Ryo's or Sagat's, but it's a Fireball, so you can use it a lot. But you're going to do much better with any of these characters, with any character, if you have the mentality of matching your move to the situation. Even if it's just how you use the move. Like, and the timing. And this will come down to timing, and it will come down to prediction, rather than going on autopilot. And that's basically the main point of this, is to just not mash, to not button mash, and think about your moves. And I think that this especially helps with unorthodox characters, but it should work for any character, and it should work for any fighting game, because it's really a very broad and general technique. It should work for Smash. If you're playing Smash, you don't want to throw out your Smash attack to your special moves. You want to move properly. You don't want to just go on autopilot. This goes with stuff that aren't attacks. It goes like with jumping. Like, people say in Street Fighter to never jump, but that's not really like... I mean, I heard that once, because like they say new players jump a lot. They jump way too much. But that doesn't mean you should never jump. It just means there's lots of situations where jumping is not a good idea, and you should instead do something else. But that doesn't mean you should never jump. It means you should read the situation, and jump accordingly. Like in KOF, the King of Fighters, oftentimes I would knock the opponent down and then super jump onto them. But that's inviting them to anti-air you. Rather, instead of just always rushing in and hamming it up, it might be better to play more carefully. Or jump when like you can get away with murder if like they don't realize it. So if you jump as they're doing attacks, you jump when they don't expect it. If you say at this moment they're not going to notice it, they're not going to realize in time. But rather than going on autopilot, it's easy, especially when you knock the opponent down, it's easy to think, oh, this is my turn, I'm going to go for my offense, instead of remembering that, oh yeah, the opponent can DP, and they probably will. So, instead, if you know what the opponent's going to do, you can instead play more carefully and move and wait to change the situation into one where you're more certain that your attacks are going to be effective and they're going to work. And that's really the key, is reading the situation, but also making situations that will be advantageous to you by knowing your character. And that's basically the gist of it. And I hope that this will be useful to you in and so that you can go into any fighting game, you can pick your favorite waifu and not have trouble, especially if they're an unorthodox character. And if you play more mindfully, you might even level up from scrub level 0 to scrub level 1 and enjoy the game more, because fighting games, they can be a very cerebral, mental type of game if you play them right. And I think that's what makes them very enjoyable. So hopefully this found you well, and I hope that you have a lovely day.